Hello, everyone. It is the End Zone Scoop podcast. I am Dana OG. I am joined by Miss Shona with the very
Hello.
cool background. I love that checkered background. I just think it's so cool.
No,
I
right?
love it.
I'm in this so it's called Lewis Castle. It's the only castle on the Isle of Lewis. So essentially, like, it was built for this guy who had a load of money, and now it's hotel. And yeah, it's really nice. So I now have this like wonderful background.
I love it. I love it a lot. So Liz is supposed to be joining us. We have no idea where she is. So we don't know. Maybe she's changed her mind. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. We'll put a missing person call out for her on Twitter afterwards.
Send out a Liz alert. Have an Amber alert. In America, when children go missing, we call them Amber alerts. So we'll just call it a Liz alert instead. But oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now we waited an extra week to do the show just because we wanted to wait till right before the Super Bowl. We wanted to go ahead and kind of have the Pro Bowlness of that empty week past us, and we wanted to go ahead and get rolling with the Super Bowl. But I'm telling you, Shona, the last 2 weeks, the Super Bowl has taken a complete backseat to everything else that is going on in the NFL. We have Tom Brady, his retirement being leaked, and then turning around and saying he's not sure, and then turning out and retiring so he could say it himself. So that caused chaos for a few days. We have the disaster that is the Brian Flores situation and his lawsuit with the NFL, which most, and myself agree is long overdue, and the NFL needs to be taken to task for this. But that has greatly then affected the head coaching hires, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. So it's fascinating what is going on in the NFL outside of the Super Bowl. Liz was actually, her subject was to talk about Tom Brady because it makes Shona and I kind of like make funny faces. But I will say this, Shona, Tom Brady, as annoying as he is because he was such a winner for so long, he's been a staple of the NFL for a very long time. And honestly, I think it's going to be a little weird not having him around.
It feels so strange because I was convinced. I was like, no way Brady retires after that game. I was like, because that's not how he wants to. That's not how he wants to leave. I was like, he's definitely back next season. And then I feel like Adam Schaaf did jump the gun a little bit because obviously with Tom Brady, you cannot do that sort of stuff with him. Like, he's going to decide when he leaves and what announcement he's going to make. So that's why I was like, his dad was like, oh, he's not leaving yet. And then
give him 3 more days.
3 more days to do the Instagram post that he wanted to do, unlike Adam Schaaf, releasing on Twitter. But no, I think it's going to be so strange. It's going to be so weird.
Yeah, I put on Twitter, and I talked about this in the Our Turn Football podcast last week, is that I said, thank you for being a villain. We all needed a villain to kind of get around 31 teams. He was our villain, and the one thing that Chiefs and Raiders fans could agree on, 49ers and Seahawks fans on, Cowboys fans and Eagles fans could agree on was that they all hated Tom Brady. And so that was kind of, a rallying cry for him. I thought that was kind of cool, but it will be weird. Well, with him and Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees all starting to go, it's just for those of us who've been around football for a long time, it's just kind of, it's once again another changing of the guard, which is strange. So we wish you well, Tom Brady. I have a feeling we're going to still be seeing plenty of you.
Also, you do know someone stepped into that villain role quite easily and quite well this past offseason and season, actually.
Really? And who would that be? I can't even imagine.
I don't know. I think his name might be Aaron. Not sure.
Maybe it is. The funny thing about Aaron Rodgers is I think more people actually genuinely liked him, even though he's a winner. He wasn't winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl. He wasn't quite as dominating as Brady was, but man, he really put his foot in it this year. But to be honest with you, I disagree with you a little bit because I think Aaron Rodgers, we all know he's on his way out. He's got just a couple years left in football, and he's going to be out. The person who I think put their foot in the villain role a little bit may be Patrick Mahomes. So interestingly enough, there has been the amount of backlash and actually not backlash, pure joy that the Chiefs didn't make the Super Bowl has been hilarious to me because I live in Kansas City. So everywhere you go, Patrick Mahomes is a god, but you see that completely different.
Do you
for
not think
Southern
that it's
football.
because of the I don't like to tarnish it with the family thing, but like his
Mhm.
future wife and his brother do not help his case in terms
Yeah.
of, you know, the TikTok videos, the Twitter posts, the constant defending when the Chiefs don't win. I think that's what irks people. And Patrick hasn't really done anything to stop them doing that. So I think, yeah, I think a lot of it stems from yeah, as our fan has just our fan here has said, because of Brittany and
Yeah.
Jackson.
Right. I agree with you to a certain extent. And we saw that backlash with Giselle, for Tom Brady, if you guys remember that when she after that Super Bowl, she came out and she was screaming, he can't throw the ball and catch it. And she was being all, and then that added more backlash to that. But this is a different level. The level of dislike for Patrick Mahomes' family is pretty high. And you have to include his mother there too. We get a lot of
Mhm.
his mom here in Kansas City. She's an interesting duck too, to say the least. But I think what it is more than that is that it's winning. People don't like consistent winners unless it's their team. You know what I mean? They were like, I remember, because as most people know, you and I are Seahawks fans. We remember when everyone hated the Legion of Boom. They hated them. Outside of Seattle, they were dirty. They were bad players. They broke the rules. They were terrible people. They ran their mouths. I mean, all of that stuff. We loved them. We thought they were great. But
I thought it was
so it's
fantastic.
kind of, I know, but it's kind of the same thing. When you have those teams that are consistently winning and winning Super Bowls, getting to Super Bowls, sometimes that shift happens because it is a little bit of jealousy. People who watch all teams, I love to watch the way Andy Reid plays chess on a football field. I think it's just fantastic. But I think poor Patrick Mahomes does not know what is coming his way if they manage to put together another fantastic season. That he's getting the full Brady ire at that point,
Oh, yeah.
complete
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So, all
Yeah.
right. So,
Agreed.
farewell, Tom Brady. Don't let the door hit
Farewell.
you, pumpkin.
Enjoy your, I don't, I see, I used to be like with Drew Brees, I'd be like, enjoy your stroll in the sun. But with Brady, I'm just like, nah,
Meh. We're gonna
nah.
see too much of it.
Try
Oh,
to
I know.
get yourself out the lava that Obi-Wan Kenobi throws you in.
Always a Star Wars reference. God, I love you, Shona. It's so good. All right. So let's move on to our next subject. Now, speaking of quarterbacks, that did open up another quarterback position available in NFL. Now, we already knew that there was going to be some shuffling. We knew Jimmy G was not going to stay in San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers, there's some question marks around there. The Saints have to do something, right, because of their disaster in football. So I think that we knew there was going to be a lot of shuffling. We did not expect, or at least I did not expect, there to be an opening in Tampa Bay with an already very good team around it. And then now there's some conversation about the Eagles, although they keep insisting they're keeping Jalen Hurts. We don't know. Same thing with Miami, although with Miami getting their new head coach, rumor has it that Tua was part of that package deal, that he'll stay there. So we'll have to see how that goes. But Shona, talk to me about some of these moving chess pieces that of quarterbacks and who we think might go where if they go anywhere.
Okay, so I was researching this earlier and I found this hilarious article. Whoever strung this together has done a really good job. He's talked about all 32 NFL teams and talked about like who are relationship goals with their quarterbacks, who are in trouble with monogamy, and like labeled it all this sort of like labels. And the one that he's gave Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens, which I thought was hilarious, was put a ring on it. Anyway, so the two he talks about the most about the trouble with monogamy and also getting cold feet, which is Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. But the one he talks about the most is obviously Russell Wilson with the Seahawks and Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, what the Seahawks do, what Seahawks do normally at the end of their season, they say that Pete Carroll and John Schneider and Jody Allen all had this end of season meeting. It went well. That's what Seahawks do every year. That's what they say. You're never gonna get anything more out of that franchise. That's how they deal with it. And then obviously there's the rumors recently that apparently Russell is open to offers, and you're like, oh, here we go.
Again. Another year.
And in the off season. So I obviously he not so subtly hinted at a possible divorce last year. There is rumors that Ciara doesn't want to be in Seattle, so it does depend on where she wants to go. Obviously, people keep saying it will be New York, which I don't see that happening. I think New York have got too much issues. The Giants have got too much issues that they need to plug for him to go there. I think he was going to go anywhere. For me, I think he'd go to New Orleans. Potentially. Or now people are saying Tampa because Tom is now gone. Right. But obviously then there's the Aaron Rodgers saga. And now I think these two are the ones that people are going to be speaking about the most during the offseason and until either, one says they're staying or one says they're moving. Personally, for me, out of those two, I think it's more likely to be Rodgers. I think it was the stink that's being created around the Packers this season with his non-vaccine status, but said he was inoculated and he saw this like medic. And I think the problem with Rodgers is that he's had so much off-field drama that people are not looking at his on-field stuff because of what he's created around him during the offseason. So for me, I feel like he's not said he's not said he wants to stay in Green Bay, and he's not said he wants to leave. But I think I think he might force a trade. It's not worked out with Mike LaFleur, even though he's a great coach. I don't think it's working with either of them. And I think Rodgers is starting to be this guy that's just got too big of a personality to stay in Green Bay. I just don't think that is going to work for them next year. And then a lot of people are tipping him to go to Denver the most. So
Denver seems to be the popular place for him. So a couple of things about these two quarterbacks, and I do want to talk about a couple of others. First, you talk about Aaron Rodgers. So I think Aaron Rodgers is actually at the end of his contract. So he wouldn't even have to be traded. He can just test free agency, I believe. Okay. Either that or he has 1 year left. I could look it up really quick, but it would take 1 year left. It could be. Yeah, it could very well be. So the interesting thing is, one, Green Bay has some cap space issues. So if you look at Green Bay, let me try and find them really quickly on my list here. They are second from the bottom in cap space. They are just one notch above New Orleans, which is a disaster. And so they have negative 50, well, it's 48 million. Okay. So that's a lot of money. And if they could redo that a little bit, that might be somewhat helpful to them. So I think Aaron Rodgers is done in Green Bay. Now they could ask him if he only plans on playing 1 more year. I could see where maybe they would say restructure his contract, get him back under, and that sort of thing. But I think that he's going to have a little more money thrown at him than that because, like you mentioned, Denver's got some space to play with, and they are desperate for a quarterback, and they have a top tier defense. And so I think that could be very good. Denver right now is slated to have 40 million in cap space next year, which is actually really, really good. Now, not quite as good as New England. Holy crap. Do not be prepared for Bill Belichick to go away. He's got 95 million in cap space. I'm just saying the guy can go buy a whole new team. I'm just saying that right now. So that's interesting. Yeah. So interesting, I think, in the fact that Green Bay has cap issues and they're dealing with quarterback issues. So I don't know. I think that they're not going to franchise. Everyone who keeps saying they're going to tag Devontae Adams. No, it would cost them way too much money. And I just don't think, I think Aaron Rodgers is ready to go do something else. The only thing that might keep him from doing that, believe it or not, is Brett Favre. Because Brett Favre, if you remember, Aaron Rodgers came in, Brett Favre says, I think I'll retire, went and played somewhere else for 2 years. Disaster at the end of his career. And so Aaron Rodgers might look at that and be like, I don't want to be Brett Favre. I don't want that to happen. So we'll see what happens there. Russell Wilson, he's too expensive for the Saints. He would have to Tampa Bay would have to completely change their scheme. Remember, the Saints are $74 million in the hole. $74 million. They're going to be selling players left and right. They can't afford Russell Wilson. Although I know the cap money is not real money, they still can't afford it. Tampa Bay would have to completely change their offensive scheme for him, and he would have to relearn that. Not saying he wouldn't do well, Bruce Arians knows Russell Wilson. That would be an interesting fit. New York, Russell Wilson's not going to leave Seattle, who, whether people like it or not, is this close from once again competing in the playoffs and doing well without an injury and everything. He's not going to go have to try and rebuild the whole team in New York City. He's just not going to do it. I can't see it. Then we have Texans fans want him, Denver fans want him, Chicago wants him, Minnesota wants him. I have had every fan base.
Yeah, Eagles want him now as well. I'm like, you've got a good quarterback. I'm like, leave my Russell alone. You can have him, and we'll have Hurts in return. See how you like that?
Well, okay, yeah. So don't get me started on that. You give me 2 first-round picks and Jalen Hurts, we can have a conversation about Russell Wilson. You go right ahead. But so I think that is Miami. Miami fans are crowing for him. And then today, an interview came out. Ryan Clark, he is a commentator, former NFL player. He said Russell Wilson has never been an elite or a top-tier quarterback, and he's not worth a first or second-round pick, which is hilarious. But at the same time, it's interesting because what it does is it gives perspective. Seattle is going to ask a lot for Russell Wilson. Teams might not be okay with picking up a quarterback in his mid-30s at that price tag. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of works out. I still say Aaron Rodgers is out, Russell Wilson stays. That's where I sit.
That's what I think now. Absolutely.
So my question for you is Jimmy G. He's the one we know for sure is leaving. He is not staying in San Francisco. They're going to trade him if they can find a proper trade partner. He is one that I think actually might fit well in a few of these cities that we've discussed. I want everyone to listen. I do not think Jimmy G is Garoppolo is not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He'll never be elite. He's not going to be the reason your team wins the Super Bowl. Okay. With that said, his offensive coordinator just went to Miami as a new head coach.
Yes, he did.
Does he want to take him with him? He came originally from Bill Belichick's system. So do they take him in Tampa? Because they know how to work around Brady's strength. Garoppolo had much the same. Now, he's not Tom Brady. Don't come at me, Twitter. That's not what I'm saying. Just saying they learned originally in the same system. Graham does not want Jimmy G in Miami. I'm just letting you know. But I could see a couple other teams, including Denver, that might kind of rally around him. Some of these teams that have some space but don't need a ton of room. The Saints might be one of them eventually, share a couple top tier players. So I think it's going to be fun to kind of watch this quarterback carousel because I think there's going to be a few that get shifted around.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like I said, that our Claire's reading, they talked about Baker Mayfield as well, because obviously that's just not going to plan. He's kind of gone down the road that the Browns fans didn't want him to go down, but unfortunately that's happened. I need to send you this link to this article because I giggled so much just reading the headlines. But they're talking about now that the Pittsburgh Steelers are back on the apps, the dating apps, and still on the dating apps are the Broncos, Washington, and Carolina Panthers.
It's true. Who wants to play in Pittsburgh? That's such an interesting. I can't wait. See, this is why the offseason is a lot of fun to me. It's like, who's going to end up?
Yeah.
Because we know the quarterbacks in the drafts aren't good. So we'll see.
No, and also I'm a massive Mike Tomlin fan. So he can do no wrong. He's bae, in all respects. He's a beautiful man, but a beautiful football mind as well. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting who does end up there. I don't think they'll limit their options between Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins. I'll put it that way. I think they'll go for somebody.
Definitely, without question. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's move on to coaches. So once again, the coaching had started kind of rolling and we started to see a couple of teams that had picked up their head coaches. And then Brian Flores came in and we learned a lot more about the Giants hire and how that went down. And threw a little bit of a wrench in it. Teams are still picking up their head coaches now, which is interesting. But we could do a whole show on Brian Flores, and we probably will at some point in the offseason because I think it's a very, very important topic to talk about. So we will do that. But let's just talk about the coaching hires that have happened so far. So, of course, we have Brian Daboll. Brian came from Buffalo. He is now the head coach in New York. It makes sense. They have a young quarterback. They think that they're going to do that could be good. We don't know with Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll, many people consider him the mastermind behind Josh Allen. So we'll see if he can bring him up to par. So that will be interesting. Then I love to say Matt Eberflus. I don't know why, but Eberflus is like the funnest last name to say. So I'm going to end up, you guys are calling Matt Eberflus all the time. So Matt Eberflus is now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I don't know why. I don't know. Just roll with it. So I like, he is there. He had been a name that had been kicked around a little bit. They landed on it. Mixed reviews from Chicago Bears fans on the incoming Matt Eberflus. Eberflus, however you want to say it. He comes from Indianapolis, which is good. Why are you laughing at me?
That's just going to crap me up all season.
I'm telling you, the name is like, you know how I am with names. I love crazy names like Clinton Haha. Clinton Dix is still my favorite name to say in football. I just love it. So now this one is in there. So we'll see what happens. But most important, we need to see what he does with Justin Fields. We all know that you have to develop that young quarterback. That is so important. Nathaniel Hackett. Okay. The reason I'm rolling my eyes is because is there a bigger power play to grab Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay than bringing his offensive coordinator in as your head coach? He doesn't have to change his system. He'll get to play exactly the way he always has played. They won't change anything. They're going to make Aaron Rodgers happy. Please come to Denver. Please come to Denver. It's ridiculous, right? But now Nathaniel Hackett, it sounds, anyway. So, yes, we will see what happens there coming in. I'm telling you, this guy was just to get Aaron Rodgers there. And nothing against him. He might turn out to be a great coach, but I'm just telling you, that was a power grab.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Mike McDaniel. Poor Graham. Graham is going to pop up here in our chat here in a minute. Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator. I'm not going to lie. It's the first time I've said his name out loud because I always call him Hipster Homebrewer. And it has nothing to do. It's just a nickname we give. I'm a Seahawks fan. We give nicknames to the coaches, right? And so I always call him Hipster Homebrewer. And it's not because of how he looks. It's because of the way he talks. You know,
he does sound much like he does like his own beer at home.
We got the best hops for this new blend. Like, seriously, he sounds, I'm not kidding you, right? And so
we got a good blend of like defense and offense.
Like, I love it. Someone asked him about a player in an interview and he goes, "Who's that?" Correct me. The guy is funny. Like, I'm giving that to him. I really like him. I don't know that Miami fans, I know the Miami fans I know are not happy about this in any way, shape, or form, just because they're not all that impressed with San Francisco's offense. So how is this guy who couldn't get Jimmy G to play well going to come in and take care of Tua? I don't know. So we'll see. McDaniel has been around for a long time. He's been in Shanahan's. He also was somewhere else. Oh, he's worked for the Texans, the Washington Commanders, which we haven't talked about the new name. I actually love it. Everyone else hates it. I love it. The Browns, the Falcons. He's been kind of around for a while, so we'll see how he does. 38-year-old, is he the new wonder kid? Josh McDaniels took a job, people. He didn't get back on the plane. He didn't fly home to Pappy.
I feel like I might like fall on the floor. I'm like, oh my God, you've actually, you've detached yourself from your Siamese twin.
I know.
This
is what I always assumed, is that Bill Belichick was like, don't leave. When I retire, this team is yours. Don't leave. This team is yours when I retire. And so he went to Indianapolis, got that job, and Bill's like, remember what I said? I have Tom Brady. Because at the time he did. You just come home. Just you stay here with me. And so he went back. Well, this time he's like, dude, you're going to live forever and never retire. I'm going to go be a head coach somewhere. Josh McDaniel is now the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. The teams are real different, like the Raiders and the Patriots. We'll see how it does. I don't know. We'll see if Derek Carr ends up staying. That's one thing I'm really interested in, is if McDaniel will keep Derek Carr.
That will be interesting. I like Derek Carr.
I do too.
I really like him.
Jacksonville finally decided to poop or get off the pot, for lack of a better word. They hired Doug Peterson, who was the hottest name to begin with at the beginning of the season. Everyone was talking about him. And then all of a sudden, everyone kind of cooled off on him. And then Jacksonville got him. I actually think this is a good hire. I like Doug
Really good
Peterson. I
hire.
like the way he plays. I think that he is a good mix between offense and defense. I like the feel of this.
Well, I think he'll be good for Trevor Lawrence.
I think so too. And I think that he'll be able to I think that he'll be able to pull that team up. I don't know how high. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they're instant Super Bowl contenders. I actually think that this is good. And this could be fantastic for Trevor Lawrence, who was going nowhere quick under Urban Meyer.
Well, who does go anywhere quick under Urban Meyer? Unless you're a female.
College kids. That's it. College kids.
Who runs away from them.
So the Minnesota Vikings are expected to hire Kevin O'Connell. That has not become official yet. They had a lot of moves. They got a new GM. They're revamping their whole system. So we'll see what happens there. The Texans and the Saints are now the two teams that are left without a head coach. Eric Bieniemy, from the coordinator from Kansas City, I know has gone down and interviewed with the Saints.
Well, someone just gave that kid a job. Just give him a job.
Yeah. I wonder. No. I have nothing against Eric Bieniemy. I think that it's odd that he's still just sitting there. It makes me wonder: is he not a good interviewer? Does he not have a good? You know what I mean? Like why? Yeah. There is the racial aspect. People don't come at me. I know that is a huge part of it. Again, we're gonna do a whole show on it. But
Brian Flores has lifted the lid on it. To be honest.
What's that?
Brian Flores has lifted the lid on it. To be honest.
Oh,
you need someone to.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so that's really interesting to me. So we'll see what happens there. The Houston Texans also, and this is the big influence of Brian Flores' suit has had now. For some damn reason that not a single person could figure out, the Houston Texans were going to hire McCown as their head coach. Never been a coach, was a crappy quarterback, has nothing, right? Nothing that says, oh, hi, I'm a head coach, except for he's in the Bible study with the GM or the owner, right? That's it. They go to the same church. I'm not even kidding you right now.
Oh, God.
Then the brakes were pulled, and now they're like, oh, we need to talk to Lovie Smith. And they have interviewed Brian Flores twice, although Brian Flores might not get a job with the suit, which, again, pisses me off, and we will have a whole show about it. But now Lovie Smith. Well, Lovie Smith has been sitting there the whole time. He was a coordinator for them, and he's been a head coach twice in this league. Why the hell were they not talking about him at first? So it wouldn't be surprised to me that, and see, Graham agrees with us. He was under their nose the whole time. They shifted gears, and I think that is directly responsible because of Brian Flores. So they are getting the coach they want, but they're getting a much better coach. I hope to God they hire him, because this man, and Lovie Smith was one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. So I hope that they give him the chance to do that. So that was very long-winded, and I apologize, but I feel like we have forgotten, because a lot of these names, O'Connell, Mike McDowell, they're not names that we've heard regularly, but I think that they could be important for these teams. We'll see how that all works out. But after the Super Bowl, when we come back, we'll let you know if the other two have been hired for sure. So speaking of the Super Bowl.
Well,
I know. We need to give our predictions. First of all, what did you think of the championship games?
I thought the Bengals Chiefs was way more exciting to watch as a non-neutral. Obviously, as a NFC West super fan, I did love that both of them, two teams of the NFC West, were in the championship game. But the whole message of the Rams in a home Super Bowl is still making me feel sick, because it's the second year in a row we've had it now with Tampa, and now the LA Rams. And I just don't know what it is. I have an irrational hatred towards Sean McVay. And there was a massive gif of him pointing at the end of the game, and I was like, oh no, I hate you even more now. Moving aside, that's just my own analysis. I think the 49ers lost that game more than the Rams won. Sure. I think that is the case. I wouldn't say the same about the Bengals Chiefs game. I think the the Bengals are just they don't know when to give up, and they're not gonna. And that's just what they've proved, because now they're in the Super Bowl. If you had said to me at the start of the season, Joe Burrow is going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl, I'd be like, what are you smoking and where can I get some?
Right. 2-win team last year. 2 wins last year. I know, crazy.
He is incredible. He's going to be, it doesn't matter if they don't win, because he'll still be smoking that cigar. That is an amazing story. Like to even get to the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm absolutely fully on the Bengals bus because I could not stick the Rams winning it.
Yes. Here's the thing. I don't know anyone who's cheering for the Rams other than Rams actual fans, because the Bengals haven't won a Super Bowl. Like we need to get them a championship. Yeah, they haven't been to the Super Bowl in 30 years. Yeah. They haven't won one. It's time. If it can't be the Bills, it needs to be the Bengals. And yes. I love that. I love how young and hungry this team is. You said it perfectly, Shona. They don't know when to stop. I always think they're young and stupid. They just keep running head first into everything. Like the toddler who can't figure out how to open the door, so you keep running their head into the door to figure out how to open. That's what they're doing, and it's working because they're just wearing. Oh, I know. Jamar Chase. God, love Jamar Chase.
He is
and him against
incredible.
Him against Jalen Ramsey is going to be so fun to watch. Like, I'm super excited about that. But here's the interesting thing about this. The Rams have a very small window of opportunity.
This is what I was just going to say.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of time to make this work. The Bengals, they're probably going to be good for quite a while. And that's it. So I get that people are like, oh no, let the Rams win it. Well, no, no. You bought this team. You mortgaged your future to have this team now.
That's what I was going to say.
If it doesn't work, it's not anyone but your fault.
They did this a few years ago as well. When they were in the last Super Bowl, obviously they still had Goff there, and he was on his rookie deal. And I said then, I was like, the Rams are going to come to a point in the next 2, 3, or 4 years where they, like you said, mortgage their future, go big or go home. So if they don't win this, I actually think it has to be deemed as unsuccessful, because they have gone for all the big players. They've gone for Miller from the Broncos. They've gone for OJ Beckham Jr. They have Jalen Ramsey. They traded for Matthew Stafford. They have gone completely huge. And if they it's literally this is it or broke, because they won't be able to afford to keep these guys on next year.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a great, if you can look at it from just a pure football business standpoint, which I love to do, and take any of our West Coast bias out, that we don't like these, NFC West teams. But if you look at it, it's two completely different ways of managing a team. There is the old tried and true method of you build through the draft, you win Super Bowls on a quarterback's rookie deal, you kind of churn it over. Because then you have to pay a quarterback too much. Then there's the Patriot way, which was you never paid Tom Brady what he's worth. I don't care what anyone says. Tom Brady never made the money he should have. He made plenty of money, but didn't make the money he should have, or could have had he gone to another team. He stayed there to keep that team good. Or there is now the Rams way, where you back up the bank truck, you spend all the money in 2 years and hope for the best. So it just depends on what your school of thought is. I will tell you that I don't love the way the Rams have done this, because once they're done with this, it's going to take them years to get back to that spot. I would say as long as Aaron Donald's on the field, they have a chance. That's not necessarily true, as Aaron Donald he's still my favorite player in football. I love defense, but he's getting older. He's not going to be able to do what he did before for very long. So they brought in Miller to get those bookends, and it worked, but you can't do it forever. The Rams next year are minus $8 million. So they're going to have to shed $8 million. Now, that's not a lot of money. They can do that with revamping some contracts and that sort of thing. But these players aren't going to stay. I don't see Von Miller playing for LA next year. He's on a 1-year deal. I expect people to look at him, how he played in LA, and some other team is going to pay him a lot of money to come play for them. Seattle. Feel free. And then you have a couple of other players. They're going to have to whittle some of this stuff out. Yeah. And so the good thing for them is that the NFC just gets a little easier over the next couple of years. It won't take a super team to win the NFC anymore. Now, with Brady out of the NFC, with Rodgers doing whatever Rodgers doing, possibly going to the AFC, that changes a lot. Teams on the NFC are now a little more balanced, where it used to be the NFC had the powerhouses and the AFC were the balanced teams, except for the Patriots. They're always the asterisk. But so I find that that's interesting, that power shift has happened, but you're not going to have quite those super teams that you had before. But that doesn't mean LA will be able to keep up. So it's now or never for them without question. But the AFC is young. It's fun. They're going to have to fight the crap to get to the top over the next few years. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
This is a good question, actually.
No. He's a golden child, Graham.
No,
They
sadly,
think
no.
he can do no wrong. No wrong at all. But
Yeah.
I'm with here.
He can run on the pitch
I
at full
prefer Zach
time, and people are like, "Oh my god, I love Sean McVay," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're not actually supposed to run on the field of play, but sure."
Yeah.
You love him.
Yeah. Whatever. Tiny little Hyperman. But he's done what they needed to do, and he's gone there. I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, so the Rams, I don't like that it's a home team playing at home again the second year in a row for the Super Bowl. I don't like that at all. I don't
feel like
that's
the
fair.
NFL
But
were like wanting to orchestrate that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like, "Oh, we had it last year, so let's have it again." And I feel like, well, the Rams aren't the only team that play in that stadium. I will just remind people, the Chargers play there too. They're a lot more like
there too. Yeah. A lot more. Justin Herbert is adorable. So yeah, so I agree. So you're taking the Rams. What's your score line, sister?
Oh no, my heart says Bengals. My head says Rams.
Oh, I thought you were taking the Rams. Oh, okay. So what score line are you giving?
I don't know. The thing is,
I think it's going to be a defensive game.
Yeah, because the thing is, the Rams were so close to being knocked out by Tampa. They were so close to doing the whole completely like we're so ahead, and then being like, actually, wait a minute, we're so ahead. Let's get the other team back in. And I think they looked scared when that happened. And I think and like I said, the Bengals do not give up. If they even sense a slight fear, like they did with the Chiefs, I think the Bengals could easily get like that last kick of the game to win the Super Bowl. It could easily be happening. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a very defensive game. I don't think it's going to be a high offensive score.
I don't either. Just because we've seen Matt Stafford make mistakes. He does throw interceptions. Yeah. The Bengals defense isn't that great. It's not like elite, but it's good. And their line seems to be questionable. I mean, he got sacked, Burrow got sacked 9 times in one game and popped up every single time. You have to remember, he's a kid. His bones are rubber. He doesn't care. He's like, knock me to the ground. I don't care.
That's all right, because I'll throw for a touchdown next time.
Right. But Matt Stafford gets knocked down a couple of times. He's an older guy. You know what I mean? So we'll kind of see. But Aaron Donald will be something that needs to be accounted for. So will Von Miller. But I was so impressed with the way San Francisco handled them. And so I think that'll be kind of interesting. I'm going Bengals. I'm all in on the Bengals, but I think it's going to be by 3. I think it's going to be something like 20, 23, 24, 27, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, and like I people must think I'm like, I just really don't like the Rams, and it's not that I don't like the Rams. I just think, like you said, like from a football point of view, football business point of view, I've been saying this for years. I feel like they're so focused on just this elusive Lombardi trophy. They're not thinking of the future, and they've built this massive stadium, and then like in the next 2-3 years, who you could say is even going to be there?
Right. We don't know. Hopefully not Von Miller. Hopefully he'll be up the coast a little bit. Just saying. Just putting it out there. All right, everybody.
I don't think he'll say the Rams.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
That is our show for this week. I hope you guys didn't mind. We went like 10 minutes over, but that's what happens on this show, especially Shona and I get talking. So I hope you join us again. We will be back. We will, I'm not sure if it's next week or the next week after that. We will come back, recap the Super Bowl, and then we'll talk about the rest of the head coaching hires and all the other news that I'm sure will come out the minute the Super Bowl is over. So we hope you join us. We are always here live on YouTube, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.